Attention, podcast listeners. Can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
Welcome in to I Remember My First Time.
Ooh.
Oh, don't be nasty, Jacob. Not that first time.
Damn it.
This is a podcast about cinematic awakenings.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Where we talk about the movies we love with someone who just popped their cherry to that movie.
Yes.
Jacob, are all the movies we do on this podcast going to be good movies?
God, I hope not.
Do we like shitty movies?
We love shitty movies. Sometimes even more than good movies.
Are we critics?
Absolutely not.
But do we love movies?
Oh, we do. We love the shit out of movies. And this week's masterpiece is the 2004 Adam McKay, Will Ferrell classic, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
I look good. Like, really good. Hey, everyone! Come see how good I look.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I love scotch. Scotchy, scotch, scotch. Here it goes down into my belly.
I am BJ Leica, and I know what you're all thinking. Yes, I do have a nickname for my penis. It's Rush Limbaugh, because it likes to go high and to the right.
Joined as always by Jacob. And I took Dorothy Mantooth out for a nice seafood dinner and never called her again.
Dorothy Mantooth is a saint!
Hey, let's leave mothers out of this.
Joining us today is our first official repeat guest, wearer of Sex Panther, lover of lamp, someone who enjoys pants parties, a man whose apartment smells like rich mahogany and has many leather-bound books. My brother, David Ekus.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. I wanted to reinstate that I have many leather-bound books.
Last time you were with us, it was for the Bill Murray Stripes. It was our second episode on the pod.
Correct?
Finally got him back. For a little sad circumstances. Our mom's in the hospital right now, but damn it, we got David back in Texas.
Always look on the bright side.
That's right, God damn it.
Podcast. And I just want to go ahead and state it. I love this movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. And I got my brother Jacob to watch it. It took years, actually. I asked Jacob to watch it, and he refused to for years.
I did. I probably watched the first 15 or 20 minutes of it. I thought it was stupid, and I wouldn't turn it on. David, for years, would be like, dude, watch it. Dude, watch it.
Of course it's stupid.
So future people listening to this, you're welcome. This would not be a podcast without me. This episode.
So this week's movie, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, described by Pluto TV, which is where I watch this movie. Enter the world of 1970s TV news, where Ron Burgundy and his loyal Channel 4 news team are San Diego's #1 rated news source. All is well in their male-dominated world of news until a rising star reporter, Veronica Corningstone, turns it upside down.
Okay. A little longer for my taste, but that's good.
It is quite a difficult movie to describe in a sentence.
Yes, agreed.
7.1 on IMDb.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad, right?
Yeah, you made me worried about it.
66% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Wait, I was confused by that. Is a high score bad or good?
No, high score is good, and Rotten Tomatoes is literally, do you like it or do you not? It's 1 or 2.
So 33% of the people said, I do not like this movie.
That's really good then.
No, that's bad.
No, that's what I'm saying. 66, though, is pretty high for Rotten Tomatoes.
No,
it's not. I don't do Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're looking for like 80s and above.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And 63% on Metacritic.
Wow. Also really bad. I would have thought the critics would have liked this more.
Maybe that's why it took them so long to come out with the Anchorman 2.
Oh, for sure.
It didn't hit the way it did later.
Well, and Paul Rudd and Steve Carell were stars.
And this movie made them stars.
Yes.
That's true.
So they had a lot of shit going on.
I guess that's fair. I didn't think about that.
Speaking of critics, what do you think Roger Ebert thought of this movie?
I think he gave this movie a thumbs up. even though the critic score is low, Roger has that thing where he knows what kind of movie he's getting into, and you know who Will Ferrell is. So he knew what he was getting.
And you are correct again.
Aha!
Three-star movie for Roger Ebert. That's a thumbs up. In a review he titled, Anchorman delivers the comic goods. He compares this movie to Spinal Tap. He thinks the satire is better when it's 1 to 2 degrees off reality rather than when it goes incredibly over the top. But overall, he says that most of the time, Anchorman works, and a lot of the time, it's very funny. What separates this movie from being just another pretty good comedy to a thumbs up movie is how oddly sweet it is, especially how oddly sweet Will Ferrell is in the lead role. And what makes Roger is this part of the review. I had a friend of mine who was an assignment editor at one of these nameless news stations. One day he gave a juicy assignment to essentially the Will Ferrell's character. He gave an assignment to his rival and co-anchor. The next day, the nameless lead casually leans against his friend's door and says, "Say, John, what a great story you gave to Mari yesterday. What do you have for me today?" Contempt, and walks away.
The perfect answer by far.
So this movie, I wouldn't say did great. You would have thought this movie did so much better than the kind of classic that it is. So 2003 it was filmed, $26 million budget. Adjusted to inflation, it's $41 million.
That's really not that high, is it?
No, especially with how many stars were in this movie.
Oh, there was a lot of cameos, and I hope we talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
Sweet.
The opening weekend, $28.5 million, so it made all of its budget back.
Is that normal?
No, normally with the opening weekend, they make about half of it back.
I contributed to the opening weekend numbers of this movie.
Did you really?
I did.
You lucky bastard. I didn't get to see it theater.
First movie I went to after I got a car.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So me and my friend Cody Nix, I wonder how he's doing. I hadn't talked to him in forever.
Hey, Cody
Really
Nix,
good.
you should contact BJ.
Yeah, get your 6'7" ass over here.
Yeah, let's do a pod, my friend. Cody Nix is such a cool fucking name. That could be a wrestler.
That sound, I don't know. If you're famous, I apologize. I don't know who you are. It sounds famous.
Well, the last time I saw him, he was 6'7" and weighed about 165 pounds.
Not a wrestler.
So I'm not sure if he could have been a wrestler.
Not a wrestler. So yeah,
I love the basketball player though.
I'm fucking bad. So yeah, the opening weekend 28.5. So adjusted to inflation, that's 44.5 million opening weekend today. It made gross $90.6 million. So today, $142 million.
That's pretty good. That's good comedy numbers.
It's great comedy numbers. I just thought with the kind of cast and the kind of following it has, it would have been bigger. But this is one of those movies that had a great run in theaters and as a cult classic.
Yes.
Which doesn't normally happen for cult classics. But yeah, that's the budget for the movie. Nothing insane, good comedy numbers. I just thought there would be more.
Jacob, what's your quick review of this movie?
That it's fucking amazing. Me and my brother
My brother and I.
Yeah, my brother and I. Thank you, grammar Nazi. My brother and I, when we talk on the phone, half of our conversation is actually talking, and the other half is quoting The Office or Anchorman 1 or 2. And I tell people this all the time, and people never believe me. And then I started dating my girlfriend, who's been on the pod, and she heard me talking to David a couple times. She's like, holy shit, y'all really do quote Anchorman in The Office half the time, like in between conversation.
We'll be mid-conversation about something unrelated. It will just be...
Milk was a bad choice.
That's what she said. Just because we'll hear it in the background as we're talking. Like, we're not even talking about something sexual. I'll hear something in the background and just say, that's what she said. And then Jacob will just laugh. Like, that's just what we do.
So
do you think women quote, like, The Notebook and the Twilight Saga to each other on phone calls?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I think that's a dude thing. And this is such a quotable movie. I just love this movie. There's nothing about this movie I don't like.
David, you said it was your favorite movie.
For example, I've listened to this podcast since episode 1, and When I knew there was like pick your favorite scenes, full disclosure, they're still all fluent in my head, and I was cheating like a motherfucker. Like, oh, I love to start here, and then it's just like, oh, the movie ended. Fuck, I gotta cut it down. I gotta cut my scene down. So, I think this movie was, in my opinion, perfect. Hopefully, you'll reinvite me for Anchorman 2. My favorite thing is what movies do when there's sequels. They reference the old, like not necessarily reference, but they bring back. Like in Anchorman 2, I don't know if you guys know this. When Champ introduces himself, he's like, go to SeaWorld, take my pants off. How does Anchorman 2 start? Pretty much at SeaWorld.
With his pants off?
With his pants. I'm just like, it's not Champ, but I love that they like brought that into the. I love when movies do that. I know that's off topic, but
no, it's great.
But that's what Anchorman 1 created. It may not have been as successful as 2, maybe, I don't know, but there's so many references.
Set the stage.
It set the stage. Love it.
This movie's fantastic.
Oh, you liked it?
It ages shockingly well. Mm-hmm. It ages way better than it should. It is, and I think we'll get on to this later, but it's the most quotable movie of our generation.
Agreed.
And I don't think it's that close, but we'll talk more about this. But this is a fantastic comedy movie.
Yeah.
What'd you like about it, Jacob?
Literally everything. Like that was part of my review. Like I like it from the moment it starts to the moment it ends.
I agree with you because, like I said, I told you why I like everything about it and how it made Anchorman 2, and just the famous scenes in the first one were amplified in the second one, and the second one's not as perfect, I think. And if we do it, I'll get into that. For a quick example, I think they laid too heavily into Brick, and I love Steve Carell.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. Don't worry.
Number one, I just want to say, like, I was in agreement with you. I thought it was the first one. I don't have any complaints.
This was a time when only men read the news, and one man was more man than the rest. He had the voice that could make a Wolverine purr, and suits so fine they made Sinatra look like a hobo.
And then he basically ends with, he was the balls.
The balls.
You said it perfect. It ages well because they show this woman in this movie, and she wasn't like the best at everything. She was still able to succeed in this movie.
I think why this movie ages so well, and the brilliance of this movie, is to make it a satire and set it in the 70s. So the hyper masculine misogynistic jokes are one big entire satire.
Yes.
So that's why it ages so damn well. And that's the brilliance of I don't know if it was Adam McKay, Judd Apatow, both, but that's the brilliance of this movie.
Or Will Ferrell, because he was a writer on this movie too. All three.
See, you would think this is literally my all-time favorite movie. I know zero facts about it besides the cameos, and I know about the Lost movie on YouTube, and I own any copy there is, different versions of this movie they have. So I already knew about Wake Up Ron Burgundy, which is, by the way, found something out new today that Jacob will get to later.
Yep.
I found that out. Always thought it was the opposite. And so I know those kind of facts, kind of, because I was wrong. I was telling people for years the wrong thing.
The wrong trivia.
Yeah, the wrong trivia. So
I'll educate everyone, don't worry.
So everyone I've told, now my apologies. I lied to you.
What did you not like, BJ?
Not a whole lot. This isn't necessarily a not like. This is maybe a nitpick. Is this movie better if Steve Carell's Brick Tamlin is essentially his character in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, where he's a virgin and he's with all these hyper masculine, misogynistic pieces of shit. And he's a little shy, nerdy virgin who's kind of lying to him the whole time.
Because my thing with this movie is I love Brick Tamlin's character. But the only thing I didn't like about this movie is I could have used more Brick Tamlin.
And then they overdid it.
And then they overdid it in the second one. And me and BJ were talking about that today. With a character like Brick Tamlin in a 140-minute movie, you have about 8 to 9 minutes of quality scene time. And in between that 8 to 9 minutes, from 8 minutes and 5 seconds to 8 minutes and 55 seconds, it can become too much. There's a 50-second window where it can become too much. And they went too much in Anchorman 2, and I wish they could have found that sweet spot in this movie because I could have used more Brick.
If it's the Creed from The Office parallel.
Yes.
People tell me all the time, oh, they should have used more Creed. No, they shouldn't. They used the perfect amount.
I think you're right. I never thought of it that way because I was one of those people for a long time. They need more Creed. And I'm like, no, actually, It's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is the Creed paradox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where you have a character where the amount of time he needs to be in there is an incredibly small window.
Yeah, and it's highly specific.
This is my own personal opinion. The director probably didn't mean for this to happen, but this is, like you said, in the 70s, right after Vietnam or during Vietnam. I'm blanking on the dates. Don't judge me too hard. But it showed Brick in the Lost movie. I forget the title now. But Brick apparently has some kind of PTSD or brain damage from the war. He was a captain in Vietnam. So, but I guess that doesn't fit with the comedy when they did the rewriting that we'll get to later. It's like, but maybe they just went a different direction. I don't know.
100% that's what they did.
Yeah,
And we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah.
Is there anything you didn't like about your all-time favorite movie? No. Cool. That makes sense.
Some of the scenes, my favorite version of this is the extended. And while I understand why they kept the scenes they did, I'm like, damn it! Because I'm watching it in the hospital last night and today. And I'm watching these scenes waiting for my favorite parts. And then the scene ends. I'm like, what the fuck? I realize anytime I watch the movie, it's the extended version.
And it's a typical Judd Apatow produced movie where they shoot incredible amounts of film and then have to cut it down to an hour.
That's what happened.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Was it a good movie or a bad movie? I'll answer this real quick. Neither. It was fucking great.
True. It was not a good movie. It was a great movie.
Yep.
For those younger generation coming out. #facts. Spitting fire right over here. It was busted. I know that means food, but anytime I use those phrases, my kids are like, Dad, that's so cringe.
Or the new one that I just learned from watching the Snoop Dogg stand-up special. It was dripping.
That one doesn't make sense.
No,
I'm out of touch
that's like a clothes fashion.
Is it?
thing,
Okay.
yeah.
Again, I'm 30. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Not only are you 30, you're not into today's shit. So
No. Let's put it this way. I'm never dripping.
Just for you guys listening,
I've got
dressed boots on.
I've got alligator skin cowboy
That's
boots.
dripping. The boots are dripping.
The boots are dripping, but then I have jeans and an undershirt that's a wife beater.
But just so y'all know, the jeans don't go with the boots. Just so y'all know if you're in fashion. So
fuck you, David. They do fucking go. Jeans and boots go at all times.
This is one thing I learned recently about fashion. On a side note, what color's your belt? Does it match your boots?
Nope.
See?
Yeah. But
If you got alligator boots, you got to get an alligator belt.
I have an alligator belt, but I'm currently too fat to wear it, so fuck you both.
Well, whose fault is that? And I'll answer that. Our society, it's not you.
It's mine too.
I know.
Because McDonald's is so good.
So that ends fashion talk for this
Yes.
week.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that segment every week.
So let's dive deep into this movie.
How deep?
As deep as we can go.
Mm.
As Ron is referred to, he's the balls.
As-
So let's get balls deep like Ron Burgundy would.
As deep as my Rush Limbaugh will go.
As deep as your Rush Limbaugh will go.
I
I have another way to put it. We're about to go to Pleasure Town.
God damn it. This movie is not animated at all. The very first time I watched this movie was like, take me to Pleasure Town.
Oh, we're going.
And then animated. Just like, what the fuck is this? Pandas? Like, come on to Pleasure Town.
Jacob, fourth favorite scene. Go.
It's the fight scene. The bilingual blood fest. Yeah, it's my fourth.
Okay.
So, and I understand it's arguably the best scene in the movie, but there's just other scenes that cracks me up more. But it had to make my Mount Rushmore. I love the one rule in the fight: no touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
Anything else go.
Anything,
Brick, where'd you get a hand grenade?
I don't know. Vince Vaughn, I want a polka.
You continue this to afterwards when they're talking about it.
I do.
And Brick's like, I stabbed a man in the heart.
Brick killed a guy.
Rick, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You should probably find a place to lay low. You're probably wanted for murder.
That's one of the most famous memes that there is, by the way, where it's like, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. and then, I don't know if it's my favorite. Oh, well, you got Como Están, bitches, from Ben Stiller. But after the scene when they're in the office, one of my favorite lines is, all y'all kept your head on a swivel, and that's what you got to do when you find yourself in a vicious cockfight.
I love how he emphasizes though. I appreciate your delivery, but that vicious cockfight.
Yeah,
like
vicious cockfight.
I love how it starts like no grown man or men are out riding those little bicycles, and so they're in an alleyway in the middle of nowhere. And then you hear or whatever they say on these fucking bicycles.
A 40-year-old man on a bicycle will never not be funny to me.
No.
And there was just one. There was 4 of them.
Yes.
Just like,
And then the one line that makes no sense but is perfect is Luke Wilson. You're about to be in dead place.
Wait, Luke Wilson is the one where he was like fighting, and I just discovered who this guy was. The guy with the afro in the scene. I didn't know who the fuck he was.
Tim Robbins.
So I know that now, but at the time I'm like, this guy's famous. This guy's famous. This guy, and then this random afro guy. Like, who the fuck is this guy?
I will say they hide him very well because he's got the Bob Ross afro on and is wearing like a monotone, just the beigest suit of all time.
So spoiler alert for trivia too. I have something for David, but I also have something for you, BJ. I might have your favorite piece of trivia on our pod so far.
We're gonna get to
right.
Let's not ruin stuff. But I don't want to jump ahead too much. But I love when he cuts his hand off. It's clearly fake. Like they're not even trying to hide the fact that it's just 100% fake.
It's like they're not even like green sleeving his arm. It's just tucked in his shirt the rest of the movie. It's great.
I forget they did that. But he's just like, God damn it. No, that's later. They got their oh, come on.
This is getting goddamn ridiculous.
And they don't even try to hide the fact that it's a clearly fake bear.
And of course, arms just detached like that. Before you say your 4th favorite scene, I want to address something right now.
I can't do this.
You are going to be on the second Anchorman pod. This is already too funny. Your number 4 scene, Dave.
See, and it might be higher on your list because I know how you like it, and I like it because the extended scenes and deleted scenes. But I love just what the opening credits when he's just like, you can't really hear. You gotta have the volume. It was like, you are on. I'm on now. I don't believe you. It just lights up, and I wanted to make it. I was wrestling with this, and that was almost higher based on that one moment alone.
Lanolin? Like sheep's wool?
Like maybe I'll wear a bra next time. No, not you. Like, apparently there's 2 women next to each other, and he's hitting on one specifically, but doesn't like they don't know until he's like,
Audrey, I got bags under my eyes.
The voiceover is hilarious in that intro scene too.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
And I get how you could maybe classify those as 2 different scenes, but as you'll notice with my favorite scenes, I'm cheating like a motherfucker.
Oh, we cheat on this part. Okay, so where does the scene end for you?
Right before the party.
Right before the party?
I think that's it maybe be a little too generous, but that's where I'll say.
Okay.
And that was almost my number 1. That's where my scenes are, by the way. If you ask me what my 4 favorite scenes are, there's really no like my
sure.
This was hard because this isn't a scene movie. Yeah. This is a quote movie.
Yes. Exactly.
But whatever, we do Mount Rushmore scenes. So my 4th favorite scene is when the 4 lead anchors are in Fred Willard's office after they hire Christina Applegate, and they're just freaking out that the woman has a job there. It's Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
And that is a scientific fact. I heard somewhere that periods attract bears. The bears can smell the menstruation.
You hear that? You hear that? You putting the whole the whole station in jeopardy.
That's just such a great scene. It's not super long, but it cracks me up every time. I know exactly what they're going to say. I still laugh when they say it in this movie.
And for me, if I was going to choose that scene, I would have chose it. I would have started it right before when they were talking about diversity. What in the hell is diversity? I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure diversity is an old wooden ship used during the Civil War era.
And don't you love how he wasn't ashamed that was his thought? Because
the
boss, I forget his name right now, but
Fred Willard.
He was like, Ron, I'd be surprised if Network was worried about an old wooden ship. And then Ron's just like, you win some, you lose some. He's like,
Because he also says, Ron, are you listening? No.
Will this affect you? And he shrugs his shoulders again.
Yeah. You listen, well, this affects all of us.
You know what? I think you're right, Jacob, because then they're talking about how hungover they were.
Yeah.
Where Dave Keckner's champ kind is.
He's like, I woke up in a Japanese family's apartment and they would not stop yelling.
The extended scene of this is gold, and the deleted scenes, they call them deleted, but they're like, didn't make the cut, like alternate like films. Because like you said, they filmed too much.
Yeah.
Countless different ways.
Yeah.
So they just picked which ways they like.
And one of the ways David Koechner goes, I was so hungover, I pooped a live squirrel. So I have a shit-covered squirrel over at my desk. And then Britt goes, oh, I'm sorry, I ate your chocolate squirrel.
Number 3, Jacob.
My number 3 favorite scene is probably my second favorite cameo out of the whole movie, Jack Black. Well, this burrito is delicious, but it is filling. He just destroys his choppers. You destroyed the only thing I love. How you like that, Broseph? What do you love? Well, I love poetry and a nice glass of scotch. And of course, my good friend Baxter here. Well, this is happening. And he just punts him off of the bridge.
Still makes me laugh.
Every time.
The fake dog getting
clearly,
punted.
I love how in this movie, they don't try to CGI. They don't try to like clearly hide it. They're like, that's clearly a fake dog being punted.
Yeah, I don't want to see a realistic dog getting punted. I want to see a fake dog getting punted.
And then
you skip the best part of that scene, though, Jacob.
What?
In my opinion, like hey, I'm going to stop your 2 feet ass. Well, if you want to throw down a fisticuffs, I got Jack Johnson, John O'Leary waiting for you right here. It's like
my favorite bit of that scene is him in the toll booth. I gotta tell you something.
Just so you guys listening, they don't exist anymore. They need to know. It's
phone booth. I said it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm in a glass case of emotion. And then I end it with him running back to the station, and of course
outstanding physical humor.
You have Veronica Corningstone. She goes, I'm good at 3 things: fighting, screwing, and reading the news. I've already done one of those today. What's the second one gonna be?
Screwing?
And then Ron finally makes it back, and he's so shook. You read my news? I thought you were kidding.
Third favorite scene, David?
It's the same, actually.
My third favorite scene is our obligatory cheat scene.
Okay.
It's anytime Will Ferrell does a musical number.
That's my number 2, by the way. Specifically of a song, but go on.
Yeah, so obviously the jazz flute, incredible scene.
Yaz flute.
Yaz flute.
Plays Yaz flute for us.
With a Wolverine eats the babies of
the coyote.
The coyote eats the I can't remember what it eats. The heart.
And the blood runs down to the children.
That's enough, Tino.
This didn't make my top 4, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. One of my favorite things Will Ferrell does is his musical numbers in his movies.
And he's clearly not playing the jazz flute. He's like you can hear him.
Yeah.
And it's just
I was gonna wait for this until later, but fuck it. Why not do it right now since you just mentioned that Will Ferrell has played the flute since elementary school.
Oh, so he really knows how to play the flute.
Yes.
Oh shit. I thought he was trying to act bad at it at purpose. He knows how to play the flute.
Yeah, he's been playing it since elementary school.
Maybe you really do have to make that sound. I would never hear it. They go.
So obviously the afternoon delight where everybody joins in and starts hopping. Obviously that is the best.
Yes.
But the very underrated one when he's drunk singing that song in the bar. It's incredibly
with
funny.
my mouth.
So that's my cheat scene.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I want to make that. I'll wait till number 2.
No, go ahead. We're doing my number 2 scene so we can skip me. Go ahead.
Okay, my number 2 is that this movie is about comedy, but it's all about Ron slowly trying to seduce this woman because that's why he has her there. So he was like, "Oh, but Glenn." By the way, when I first watched this movie, I was young, so I didn't know what Glenn Levitt was. So I was just like, "What the fuck is that?" It's Scotch, by the way, for those of you that.
And now we're both big Scotch fans.
Yeah, so it's like he orders a Scotch drink, and then I still don't know what she fucking ordered. But I just saw
some sort of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a cut with a steel-toed boot. I'm like,
that was totally made up.
That had to have been because I was like. Anyways, I love how this whole scene in this when he's trying to seduce this woman has this plan in his head. So when Tino's like, "Who played jazz flute for us?" and he was like, "I'm not prepared. No, I'm not." It just pulls it out of his like. Who goes to dinner with a jazz flute in their sleeve?
He had a jazz flute in his sleeve that entire night.
Yeah, and I will cheat like you did. You said all musical numbers. My second favorite scene starts with the dinner date where and I kind of started where he's like has a part of my favorite where he's like, Ron Burgundy, you have a giant erection.
It's the pleats. It's the pleats in the pants. I'm actually going back to the band story.
I kind of started there, which I know is cheating because clearly the scene starts when they meet in the lobby.
No, you're right. The scene starts whenever he's convinced her to go on a date,
and they're in the
and
lobby.
it goes all the way through Pleasure Town.
Yes, that's the scene, and I'm cheating by adding Pleasure Town to my. Like I encompass all of it because that's a musical number too. By the way, it's not Ron playing music, but it's
okay.
You can classify it with it, in my opinion.
We don't care.
I just love he was like, "I'm not prepared," and he steps on every single glass on every table that he steps, and no one's mad. Like that drink had to have cost at least $10 at a club like this, and everyone's just like. Oh yeah, Ron!
Walking on the tables, kicking shit off.
When he slides under the stall when the guy's taking his shit.
So my second favorite scene is basically right before y'all's scene that y'all just did. It's all of them hitting on Veronica Corningstone.
Oh, dude, that's my number one.
I fucking love that scene. Champ brushing up against her boobs and then getting hit in the balls. Let's have some chicken, maybe some sex.
Champ. Are you trying to fondle my breast?
What can I say? I like the way you're put together. Brian Fantana. I give this an hour before we're doing the no pants dance. She gets a special one. Sex Panther.
By Odeon.
It's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good.
60% of the time?
Every time. That makes no sense.
The nostril. In a good way.
I'm going to be honest with you. That smells like pure gasoline.
It smells like Bigfoot's dick. I love the smell.
Was that Judd Apatow?
No, Judd Apatow was turd covered in burnt hair.
Oh, okay.
But I love how it smells different to everyone. No one has the same description of Sex Panther. So I want to know what Sex Panther smells like because no one thinks it smells.
I do not. I will gladly live the rest of my life without knowing what Sex Panther smells like.
I end the scene with Ron walking away from Veronica. Don't act like you're not impressed.
By the way, in the extended scenes, you see Ron walking around the bullpen, like just trying to walk the situation off. Like just walking around everyone with this erection.
With a raging boner. What's your number 2, BJ? Because David's already given us his.
It's got to be the party scene where they introduce everybody.
Yes.
And everyone's got their own role within the team.
That was almost like
Brian Fantana. Paul Rudd is Brian Fantana.
Can I do this? This is my favorite quote to do.
Absolutely.
I'm the Brian man. I'm the stylish one of the group. And I know what you're asking yourself. The answer is yes. I have a nickname for my penis. It's called the Octagon. Also nicknamed my testes. The left one is James Westfall, and the right one is Dr. Kenneth Noisewater. You ladies play your cards right. Might meet the whole gang.
Now that whole my dick's name, ball's name has been done 100 times in comedy. Never is it funnier than when Paul Rudd is delivering it in this movie.
He's not trying to make fun. He's not trying to he's 100% serious.
He's exuding sexuality as he's saying that with 3 chicks on his arm.
Arguably, I think this is personal. She's my type, so it's arguably one of the hottest women I've seen in movies. And so she's just sitting there clearly annoyed with this man. She's clearly there to hit on Ron later.
Yeah,
and he just doesn't catch on for some reason, or he's just on purpose oblivious.
Champ Kind as the loud drunk sports announcer.
Whammy!
That was a great.
Gene Kenneth at the plate. Whammy!
Yeah, I liked your impression of BJ. That was good. And that's why
people like me because I'm rarely late, and I wear nice clothes. Someday, a doctor will say I have an IQ of 48 and what some people may call mentally retarded.
As he's putting mayonnaise in the toaster.
And I love how they spent too much time afterward. They could have cut it off like everyone else after he said mentally retarded. And everyone else has seen it, cuts off and they go somewhere else. And it just shows Brick looking at the camera for a good I know it's only 2 or 3 seconds, but that was 2 or 3 seconds too long. And it just killed me. It's at the camera
that to me is such a hilarious scene.
Yes.
So my number 1 scene is the intro to the movie and the newscast. And I take it from the intro to the end of the party.
Oh, end of the party. You
Yeah,
cheated like
I cheat hard.
That was a lot. That was the first 20 minutes of the movie.
I know.
My favorite scene is the first act.
Yeah, correct. This is a pipe dream for me. I always just wish my life would have worked out in such a way that I could have walked up to a woman and go, I don't normally do this, but you have an absolutely breathtaking hiney. I mean, that thing is good. Like, I want to be on it. I want to be friends with it. And I wanted that fictitious woman in my life to turn around, and then we start dating and get married.
Yeah, and I love that he was like, he doesn't know how to stop. He's like, wait.
I want to be on you.
The words they use for ass in this movie are incredible.
Yeah.
Like, bring back Heine.
Yes.
Yes.
Bring back Heine.
Your number one favorite scene, David?
It was your number 2, I think, where it's just everyone's hitting on her. I just loved it. And since you already described it, I want to ask, I'm audible on you guys. I want to know, you can't pick Ron because clearly his was the best. Which one would you pick? You can't pick the same if you had to pick.
Oh, Brian Fantana. I'm gonna squeeze in there first.
We got it. Yeah. What was your favorite? You can pick Ron since he took Brian. What was your favorite pickup attempt?
I love Brick's pickup attempt.
Do you really?
I love it.
I love. That was my least favorite, but it was.
I
still
love
good.
how confused he was.
He was just told to go hit on this chick, and
then afterwards he asked the guy next to her, "Do you want to go to my parents' party?" No, Brick, I don't.
Yeah, okay, and he just sprints off scene.
She's just like, "Did Brian tell you to do this?" No. Yes.
No. Yes. And my favorite part of that scene is why it's my number 1, and I struggled with. I have an honorable mention when we get to it, but 1001, 1002, like this was the worst pickup attempt, and it worked. Like everyone else, at least had some kind of like original like.
I loved him being
thought.
shirtless in the office.
Yeah. Scope my guns at the office.
And the best thing about that is
a very busy man, bro. You work 30 minutes a night.
I can see some dude in the 70s shirtless in his office doing dumbbell curls.
So the newscaster fight did not make your top 4.
I messed up because I was just interjecting. We all talked about it. It's an honorable mention because when we get to our favorite cameo, he's in that scene. And I don't want to ruin it before we get there.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, because that's my favorite scene.
Yeah.
The fight scene.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in movie history.
And I love
it's wonderful.
And I love how it made the fight scene in Anchorman 2 that much bigger because it was so successful. Yeah. Like they went, you know how we talked about how Brick went over the top and it didn't work. The fight scene when they went over the top, I loved every minute.
It worked.
I was like, it worked.
Just the fact that they're trying to cheer themselves up by buying new suits.
Yeah,
and they're like, Brick, I thought you said this was a shortcut.
Okay.
And I don't know why that music fit. Like, I don't even want to try to impersonate, but like that girl, and they're all just like going for pants. And I was like, the music doesn't match, but it matches. Like, I don't know. It's just like that scene. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't pick it because it has part of later.
Sure. Just real quick before we leave the Mount Rushmore scenes, I have 3 honorable mentions. I'm sure y'all are going to agree with them, so I'll just hit them real quick. One is the hair fight. Whenever Veronica Cornerstone tells Ron that he has bad hair.
Yep. And
they basically have a WWE match in the office.
This combined with the banter back and forth after the news. I'm going to punch you straight in the vagina.
Yeah, when they're like talking about like read the news and everything. Yeah, it's
you're
like, put you right in the ovaries, right in the baby maker,
right in the baby maker.
Because it also has them like shooting the clip, and like every time Christina Applegate looks down, the guys look up. Every time she looks up, they look down, and they're just fucking up the shot.
My number 2 honorable mention was the love scene where they sing Afternoon Delight.
Yeah.
Like, what does love mean? I love carpet. I love desk. I love lamp. Like, my girlfriend's seen this movie a total of 1 time, and she quotes, I love lamp. Like, how great is that?
I love lamp is one of the most quotable lines in this movie, and I don't know how. The line is, I love lamp. We should not be quoting that line 18 years after this fucking movie was made.
It's arguably
but here we are.
It's arguably the most quoted. Like, out of the
yes. I love lamp. I love lamp.
That just shows the genius of Steve Carell.
Yeah. Correct.
That he can make a line that's I love lamp one of the most quoted lines in movie history.
And we've already talked about this honorable mention real quick, but it's the bear scene at the very end when she gets knocked into the bear cage, and then Ron shows up and he jumps down there and he's like, "Oh, I did that. I wrote that. You bitch!" And then he's like, "You woke up the bears.
Why did you do that?"
I immediately regret this decision as he jumps in the bear
cage. And then I love the news team just jumping in and having a boxing fight with the bears.
Oh, and I don't know why, but I love Brian Fantana's boxing match. Like, he's overexcited, and then the bear punches him. He's like, "Oh!"
And then you have Ron basically making out with Baxter.
Yeah,
but Brick's just best friends with the bears.
I'm riding a furry tractor.
And like I said, they went all in with it, clearly not trying to hide that this was fake. The Champ kind, where he was like clearly a rag doll being tossed by the bear,
and his cowboy hat stays on.
Oh my god! You're right. Yeah. You pointed to your boobies.
Oh my god, you did.
Yeah, that scene. I didn't realize cowboy hat.
And then of course it ends with Vince Vaughn as Ron Burgundy comes up very at last, holding the ladder, about to push him in. But god damn it, I respect you, as they're close enough to kiss. I love Vince Vaughn. I love Wes Mann.
He was so good.
So before we leave the Mount Rushmore scenes, BJ had the greatest idea for Anchorman 3. Instead of following Will Ferrell and the Channel 4 news team, follow Wes Mantooth and the Channel 3 news team.
Ooh.
Or maybe Luke Wilson with his no arms.
Well, I don't know if I want to see an 1.5-hour movie of Luke Wilson with no arms.
Sure.
But like for sure the Vince Mantooth.
And he could just
Wes
be in it.
Wes Mantooth.
And then the guy with no arms could be in it. We didn't mention that classic scene, and damn it, I love it. We quoted it in the beginning. Just a vicious, like, I have the bigger dick energy when they run into each other, of all places, at the park, walking through.
Oh my god.
Why did we not mention that?
He's just like, "Where did you get your clothes?" The
At
toilet store.
And that's a big quote, too.
And then they leave, and Vince Vaughn's like, "Y'all couldn't say nothing?" Nothing. Even the guy who can't think says something.
Yeah. That's such a huge scene. That was one of my honorable mentions, because it's like I'm going to take Dorothy Mantooth out for a nice seafood dinner and then never call her again. Dorothy Mantooth is a sight. She's a sight. I guess I know we quoted it, but
oh my gosh, this might have been my favorite Mount Rushmore.
We discussed the whole movie in this Mount Rushmore. Between the Mount Rushmore and honorable mention, there's not a scene we left out.
I don't think so.
And if we did, it wasn't
the only thing we missed was news team assemble.
That was my one little thing. That scene was an honorable quote, and Danny DeVito did such a great job where he said this like pretty cool little speech about women and like they can do stuff. What did you say? Something?
I don't speak Spanish.
Like, you couldn't really. But I love how, if you're not paying attention, BJ, how many times have you seen this movie?
5.
The first time, I know you didn't, or maybe you did. I never noticed that the news. I know they say it, but you clearly can see when Ron walks in to drink
to the bar, the news team's there
in the background playing pool. I never noticed it until after 2 or 3 times watching it.
Which is so funny because earlier in the movie they're like, "Boss said we can't talk to you."
Yeah. Why is that not a thing?
But if they're in there, and
sure, but it's just a funny coincidence.
Yeah. Basically, the only part we missed was depressed Will
Ferrell,
yes.
and that he did a good job.
Yes,
he did a good job.
Answering the phone, thinking it's Baxter calling him. What dog knows how to use a fucking phone?
If you're in Cincinnati, bark twice.
I tell you what kind of dog can use a phone. The kind of dog that eats a whole wheel of cheese and poops in the fridge.
Actually, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
On to our movie-related topic.
Which should be pretty easy for this movie, right? Quotable movies. Because this is the most, like you said, the most quotable movie of our generation.
I don't think it's close.
I don't either.
Like, okay, there's some in Wedding Crashers and...
Honestly, I think the only close one might be Anchorman 2.
They're so long. Is it really classified as our generation kind of movie? It's so long afterwards.
I guess that is. That might be the next generation. It was over 10 years later.
It was definitely meant for our generation, but it was made during
That's true. Generation. But we're just talking about quotable movies. We just know that this one's the most quotable one of our generation.
That's what makes a comedy stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure my dad is like, oh, no. Animal House is the most quotable movie of all time.
And that's his generation.
Sure, yeah. I don't know, maybe some younger people are Superbad is the most quotable movie of all time, but
it has some quotes, but it's not the most quotable.
Yeah.
For our generation, it's this one, hands down. And no movie does it better either. And little things like I love lamp.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
why is I love lamp quotable? It's 3 words.
Like I've already mentioned, my girlfriend's seen this movie one time, and she quotes that line.
It's because it's part of such a good scene, too, where it's like, Brick, do you really love the lamp, or you just say it because you saw it?
I love lamp.
I love lamp.
And I love it when I'm in the morning getting ready. I don't do it hardly ever, but every once in a while I'm looking in the mirror and I go, I look good.
I mean,
really good.
I think the one I use the most from this movie is 60% of the time, it works every time.
And I love what he talks about it. That doesn't make sense. But they just keep going, and that's what I love about this movie. Like, no one takes anything too personally unless it's Veronica Corningstone. Then it's just like a stab in the heart. If they're like, this is Nick Christian, like, he doesn't the prank calls, like,
Ron, I can see you.
Yeah, and then like the awkward way of like, no, we weren't just prank calling you.
And 3 years before this movie came out, we already did this movie in the pod, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I quote the fuck out of that movie too.
You do.
Snoochy
no one else
boochies.
does. Not one other person in this world says smoochy boochies.
Snoochy boochies.
Sorry.
That reinforces his point.
Fuck you, David. Fuck you. Kevin Smith fans quote Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, along with Clerks too.
I've never heard one people say schnoogans.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking about quotable movies. And Jay and Silent Bob is a quotable movie.
It is, yeah.
But it doesn't, like you said,
Well,
it doesn't touch Anchorman.
No, it doesn't touch Anchorman, but we're talking about quotable movies here. I mean, Will Ferrell's in that movie, and he parks his moped right up next to a burning van that's evidence, and he's, can I park this here? Who let the cats out? What other movies? Any other movies off the top of your head? 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Did that come out? Oh yeah.
Is that quotable?
That's what made Steve Carell.
Bags of Sand?
Yeah. It not near to this level, but it's pretty quotable.
So it's mostly comedy movies that are quotable.
Yes.
Like The Hangover. Dr. Faggot. Paging Dr. Faggot.
Oh man, I got the wrong Doug.
Got the wrong
I'll be you, Doug.
Thanks. It's illegal, like masturbating in an airplane. Masturbating in an airplane isn't illegal. I mean, it is after 9/11. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden.
We're the 3 best friends that anyone can have. The 3 best friends that anyone can have.
It goes on.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of like quotable dramas.
Yeah. The only other, when it comes to dramas, the only ones that's super quotable, like the Coen Brothers films.
Big Lebowski,
stuff like that. And
I would argue Big Lebowski's a comedy.
Yeah, it is. And then Tarantino does quotable stuff.
Yeah, but there's not near the number.
No, there's not. I'm just trying to think of non-comedic movies, and the Coen Brothers and Tarantino, I think, fit that bill.
Oh man, I just shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that? I didn't mean to.
This accidental murder, they're just both accepting it for what it is. Like, whoops. Let's move on.
And
I'm not going to say Tarantino's quotable line about dead storage.
No, and now I was just about to mention that. I'm glad you brought it up. One of the funniest quotable lines in that movie is one that we cannot say.
Yes, because Tarantino gives himself the parts that other people like, I'm not doing that.
And he's like, oh, you won't?
I'll do
it. This shit's funny. Character breakdown. And we don't know these actors' names like we should, so we're just going characters, baby. So Ron Burgundy, we'll start with him. The man. The legend.
It's the legend of Ron Burgundy.
A lot of things get said about Will Ferrell, and one of the things that gets said by him to him a lot in a negative way is that he's not funny. He's just really loud and obnoxious. And I think Will Ferrell's funny, but I do understand why people think that and say that. And this is the perfect movie when it comes to his loud and obnoxiousness, really hitting it on every single chord that it possibly can.
He did such a good job in this movie. There's a podcast called the Ron Burgundy Podcast.
Yes.
So I'm just like, that's how much people love this character.
Yes.
That they wanted more outside of a movie. Like how
outside of two movies. Really, outside of three, because there's an entire hour-and-a-half long movie on YouTube you can watch for free called Wake Up Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, which I own, by the way.
You know what?
I have to pay for it. I did.
If Vin Diesel started the Dominic Toretto podcast, I'd be in.
The memories of my father.
This podcast is all about family.
They made a whole movie trying to convince us that he didn't care about family anymore. Nobody bought it.
Nobody.
So
Not one person.
Oh, he clearly doesn't care about family anymore. No! We have 6 other movies saying he cares about family.
This is my brother, John Cena. What? John Cena, your brother, motherfucker? That dude's white as fuck.
And before we leave Ron, and I don't know if we're going to leave him soon, but we haven't mentioned this, and BJ, you brought this up the other day when we were talking about this movie and how just great the writing is. During the date scene where he's talking about San Diego and how it was founded in 1904 by Germans. And then
still wrong.
Shortly after that, he says that the translation of what San Diego means was lost hundreds of years ago. But the town was founded 100 or a couple
70,
hundred years ago.
70s, yeah.
Thought that was fucking great.
Yeah.
Love Ron Burgundy. Love Will Ferrell's Ron Burgundy.
He's clearly terrible at his job because he has to read strictly from a teleprompter.
Yeah.
And if he
Stay classy?
Go fuck yourself.
Who put a question mark on the teleprompter for the last time? He will read whatever you put on there.
Well, and he runs through his big run. He basically runs this character out where he just kind of falls ass backwards because he's so talented at something, whether it's his voice or driving race cars or whatever the hell he does to own a basketball team in semi-pro.
Love Me Sexy.
That was an amazing movie.
I love Semi-Pro.
And I love how everyone clearly doesn't like that song anymore. Like, it's not their song. And he still gets to the club. The first thing he does is flips the record and starts singing Love Me Sexy.
Might as well be every halftime show in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every halftime. During a signature song, Love Me Sexy. Like,
didn't he have an afro in that movie, too?
He did.
Oh, he did.
I love Will Ferrell's hair.
Woody Harrelson's in that movie.
Yes.
Hey.
Traded for a washing machine.
After this, I think we all need to punch ourselves in the jejunum.
Okay, next is Veronica Corningstone.
Christina Applegate.
I think that she did a pretty good job. That character was so obnoxious. I can't say that word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I
didn't care.
Obnoxious isn't the right word, and I don't have enough knowledge of the English language to come up with the right word. But like a great example of that is right after she walks out of the office when they're basically playing grab ass about her ass.
Yeah.
She's just like, yeah, this is how it is in a male-dominated sector, and I focus on my non-regional diction and being the absolute fucking best. Well, she played a great part because she also became vulnerable when Ron, like, she's new, and obviously Ron is a sex magnet in this movie, and it's like, oh, I'll go out with you, but strictly professional.
Yeah.
Well, she's the audience perspective of this movie.
Yes.
When she comes in, she's like, these guys are fucking morons.
Yes.
And we're watching the movie being like, yes, they're fucking morons. But Ron's kind of sweet. And Ron's kind of sweet.
Yep.
And
I guess the word I used initially was the wrong word because she's like, she like magnifies confidence about herself. But like I know she had to create the conflict of the scene, but when he was watching his Emmy nomination, you're not telling me she had to watch that clip right then and there. She wanted to piss Ron off.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, oh, he's using it? Well, now I need. You know, it's just like.
Well, yeah, when someone's being an arrogant asshole and watching a clip of themselves give a drunken speech.
I don't remember any of this. So he clearly says, I don't know this. And she doesn't even ask. She just ejects his tape. Just like, boop.
So, Christina Applegate, overrated, underrated, or properly rated in how her career's turned out?
Her whole career? I think underrated because I loved her in Anchorman, but
Yeah.
I can name one other movie and I can't even name the movie.
So-
I just know it's a movie where the husband switched places. It's like the opposite of Freaky Friday. She's in that one. No, is she? I mean,
No
no, she's
idea.
I
not.
have no idea.
She plays like Mom's Night Out or something. I can't remember. She's
Yeah,
in another
I think she's
movie.
in Bad
That's
Moms
it.
or something.
That's it. Yeah, but that's the only other movie I can name with her in it.
I'm gonna
She's
go.
in The Sweetest Thing with Cameron Diaz, and
Oh.
she's phenomenal.
and you said that
Is
movie's
she?
amazing.
Oh, I've never seen that.
No. She's phenomenal in it. The movie's pretty good.
It's
Okay.
So.
Season 7 of the podcast.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go with underrated too because, like you mentioned the other day, she's in Married with Children,
Yeah, Kelly Bundy.
and I've seen probably 5 episodes at best of Married with Children.
You're missing out.
And like you mentioned earlier today, I think that's where our age range really comes into play. Like
Yeah.
you're what, 4 years older than me,
Yeah, 3.5, 4,
something like that. But that's really the biggest thing that we found so far in this podcast, where there's a big age difference between us two.
Yeah.
Because I've seen maybe 5, and that's really pushing it.
I think my parents were probably letting me watch that show before yours were letting you watch that show too.
100%. Yeah.
It's pretty risque.
Yeah.
I love the ending line of hers. I'm 73% sure that I love you. It's like, what?
What a oddly specific number.
Yeah. There are literally thousands of men I should be with beside you. Like, she has this overconfidence about herself too. Like, she's just like, I'm clearly better than you, Ron, and I'm just gonna.
You have to be if you're the woman in a man-dominated
that's true.
field in the 70s.
Yeah,
That's the
true.
only way you can get ahead.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the top 2 in this movie. So the next 3, Brian Fantana.
Paul Rudd is clearly a star in this movie.
yeah.
Clearly, was he famous at this time?
No.
No. He was.
This vaulted him to another level.
He was the guy
For good
from
reason.
Clueless before this movie.
Oh, quick question about Paul Rudd or his character, Brian Fantana. Am I tucking my shirts in wrong? Because clearly, whenever they're doing the scene where he's trying to distract Veronica, his shirt is tucked into his underwear. Is that how it's supposed to be done? Am I doing life wrong?
So they do have something where if you're wearing a dress shirt, you're wearing high socks. So it's essentially like suspenders.
yeah,
Where you clip one end onto the sock and one end on the shirt. I think that's a military
It
thing
is.
too.
They have it. Yeah.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah.
Tucking it into your underwear is the second best way.
Okay, so
But it
it's a
can't be
thing.
too long a shirt because then it gets bunched up and you look like you have a fupa.
Well, not only because of that reason, but if you're really hairy, you could get a shit stain on your shirt.
Ooh, yeah.
So I am just doing life wrong. It was a joke, but I guess this is a thing.
It depends how long the dress shirt is.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. And I always wore hand-me-downs from Jacob, so my shirts were always
Not only long, but too fucking big.
I owned it.
But Brian Fantana, Paul Rudd is great in
We
this
don't have to
movie.
dive too deep into his. His was just great. I
Yeah.
love he plays a ladies' man who's not a ladies' man. Like it's
I was
awesome.
in love once.
Yeah.
She was
I don't even know her
Brazilian.
name. Not starting off good. We met in the Kmart or something. No. She was Chinese or something weird.
Brazilian.
Dude,
Chinese,
completely-
Brazilian, or something
Something
weird.
weird. We made love in a bathroom, in a Kmart bathroom, and then
For
never saw
hours.
each other again.
And I love all his stories and like hitting on women, but he's never got laid. I've never even been with a lady.
All right, Champ Kind. I love Champ Kind in this movie. I think he's so much better in the second one.
I do too.
I think he is so much better, and it's not even close in the second one. But for the first one, I think it was a great introduction to him. I thought he was great. And David's brought up a couple of those deleted scenes, one before we started recording the podcast, of just the hyper misogyny in the 70s. And Champ Kind, if you watch the deleted scenes and the forgotten movie, he's a closet homosexual, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and everyone's clearly acknowledging it, but ignoring it. They're like, "Yeah, we're just not gonna I'm not touching that with a 10-foot stick. Like, we're not gonna talk about this."
Yeah.
Why is his career not better? Why was his career not better than it turned out to be?
I don't know. He should have a very similar career to Rob Corddry.
Yeah, or Rob Riggle.
Or Rob Riggle, yes.
I think he might have got market corrected by Rob Riggle. I think if Rob Riggle doesn't exist, I think Dave Koechner has all of those roles.
He's like the bald SAS guy in Rambo.
Yeah.
If Jason Statham didn't exist, he would be Jason Statham.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's why he's not as big as he
is. Because I know people hate on the Todd Packer character in The Office. It's hilarious. You're supposed to hate him.
Yes.
That's the brilliance of that character.
100%.
One day, he has my future Halloween costume already worn.
With the mistletoe on his belt buckle?
Oh, that one too. The nun. Yeah, the pregnant nun.
The pregnant nun.
You a big William Hung fan?
Who the hell is that? Why does everybody ask me that? Brick Tamland, Steve Carell. Well, we've already mentioned it before. I wanted a little bit more of Steve Carell's Brick Tamland.
And then they went over the top. We mentioned it. Yeah.
Emmys, fuck you for never giving Steve Carell an Oscar.
Yeah.
That's the most bullshit thing in any awards category of all time, is that Steve Carell never won an Emmy for Best Actor as playing Michael Scott.
Yeah. That's just...
It's by far...
You're bringing up feelings.
It's arguably the best TV character of all time. You're right.
I'm a huge John Krasinski fan. Just realize, what's crazy to me, if Steve Carell hadn't done such a great job in these other movies, theoretically, you could say The Office doesn't take off. Then we wouldn't have John Krasinski in all his roles that he's in now. We wouldn't have The Quiet. That's what's
The Quiet Place and Jack Ryan.
We wouldn't have all these other movies.
Thank
you, Steve Carell.
And Steve Carell was a correspondent on The Daily Show.
Oh, that's right.
With Stephen Colbert. Yeah. Who is your favorite out of those three? Brian Fantana, Champ Kind, and Brick Tamland.
Brian Fantana.
I love Steve Carell, and I just based on act. Damn it, I love Paul Rudd too.
But Brian Fantana is the best out of those three.
Yes. I'm not saying Paul Rudd's better than Steve Carell or Dave Koechner or anything like this. In this movie, Brian Fantana is the best.
Brick even wanted to be Brian Fantana. I remember, who are you? I'm Ron Burgundy. Who are you? Brian Fantana, Champ Kind. Brian Fantana, tell your break.
I forgot about that. That's good. Yeah. And the last question about the character breakdown, David, we'll start with you. Who's your favorite cameo?
Oh, damn it. There's so many. There's so many good ones. My favorite one is fucking Ben Stiller as the Hispanic douche.
¿Cómo están, bitches? Policía!
Yeah. So I still say "Cómo están, bitches" as a quote too.
Yes.
Which should not be as quotable as it is.
No, it should not.
And then all the people to zoom in on where he was like, no touching of the hair or face. It goes to Ben Stiller. He's like,
of course. Duh. That was the most Zoolander, non-Zoolander line I've ever seen outside of Zoolander. Yeah. Of course.
That was my favorite cameo, was Ben Stiller. I'm
gonna before BJ answers, I'm gonna second that.
Really? You're supposed to?
My favorite character was Ben Stiller, followed very closely by Jack Black.
Jack Black was a good one.
But Ben Stiller's so funny for the 10 seconds he's in the movie.
All the cameos are great.
Yeah.
Jack Black is great. Luke Wilson is great. Vince Vaughn is great. I love Ben Stiller, but Tim Robbins as the PBS affiliate is so funny. As someone who watched PBS a lot as a kid, and when Arthur or whatever ended,
oh my god, we watched so much Arthur.
They would, like you said, they hit
Dragon
him really
Tales.
Well. But like you said, they hit him so well, I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, and him going to Veronica Corningstone, we really respect the women's lib thing, and then pushes her into the fucking bear pit. Cracks me up.
He did a great job. And we're sleeping. Wait, was Seth Rogen famous at this time?
No. I don't know if that's a cameo.
No, it's a cameo.
Okay, all right,
for sure.
Yeah. You could tell Seth Rogen was funny.
Yes,
with his 2 lines that he had that were meaningless.
He did his first little famous laugh. That it wasn't even his laugh yet. He'd be like, "Oh, good, great stuff, Mrs. Corningstone."
And one of the best things about this movie, and I know we've already brought up this cameo before, but just the fact that we're talking about what's your favorite cameo. And the fact that we haven't brought up Danny Trejo
I know.
talks about how great the cameos are in this movie. Because 9 times out of 10, Danny Trejo wins the best cameo.
Yes.
And he was, and this was my favorite parts of the movie. And it was on my top.
It was on your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, when he was like, women could do stuff now. And he was like, what? Did you say something? I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish.
Which is great because 30 seconds before that, he was talking to him like he understood him.
Danny Trejo's fantastic in everything he does.
Yes.
Danny Trejo, you're welcome on the podcast. You just have to bring us some of your donuts or tacos.
Please.
Either one. We don't care which one.
Preferably both.
Guys, are you ready for the trivia and facts of the podcast?
I've learned so much already. I'm super excited.
You're super excited?
So excited.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this trivia of this podcast or this movie. They're so fucking fun. I'm gonna start with movie trivia, just general movie trivia. This is the first part of Adam McKay and Will Ferrell's, quote, mediocre American Man trilogy, quote. The second part was Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Rick and Bobby. And the third part was Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. On all parts, McKay works as the director, Ferrell is the main actor, and both work as writers on the projects.
So they're not considering him mediocre male in the other guys?
No, not in this trilogy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Co-writer and director Adam McKay has said that in the first draft of the script, the story was about a plane load of news anchors who crashed in the mountains and discovered that the plane which they collided was carrying monkeys and martial arts equipment, leading to a battle between cannibalistic newsmen and star-throwing monkeys. What kind of fuckery is that?
That sounds like a
movie. What was the title of that movie?
I don't know, but that was the first draft of the script, and that sounds incredible.
It sounds like a short, though, to me, like almost like a movie.
Oh, it's a fantastic 15-minute SNL skit.
Yes, not a movie. That you described it perfect. Yeah. That sounds like some SNL writer came up with that idea, and it's good, but not a movie.
I don't want 90 minutes.
Yeah,
of it.
And David brought this up, but many of the actors and actresses were good at improvisation. They would sometimes do up to 20 different versions of reaction lines, trying out the first thing that popped into their heads.
That's one of my favorite parts about like extended and deleted scenes from this, because there's always something like where Rob Bird's like when he says like "go fuck," he's like "Great Odin's Raven." And they even show like the credits. He has like 20 of them. Like it's just different reactions.
All of those are incredible. I used to know them so much more when we talked more about Anchorman, but they're all. Sweet cream on nipples. I think that might be an Anchorman too, but they're all so great.
And Keckner and Carell are both seasoned improvisers.
Although the exact year in which the film is not stated, the fact that the characters know all the lyrics to the song Afternoon Delight and Champ's offhand Gene Terrence reference on describing his excitement for sports probably places the time in mid-1977, Terrence's first season with the San Diego Padres. The title Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy appears to have been inspired by the documentary Porn Star, The Legend of Ron Jeremy.
That's so fitting. I don't know why.
But it's incredible, isn't it? There are 24 people in the street fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how many people are involved in Anchorman 2 street fight.
Yes.
50?
Something like that.
You know who was involved in it? The ghost of Stonewall Jackson.
We will talk about this because I don't want to let it out now, but the funniest scene out of both Anchorman movies is in the second one, and we'll get to it when we record the second podcast.
Look forward to that. Dun, dun, dun.
Number 4 is featured prominently in the movie. The station is Channel 4. The Channel 4 news team originally has 4 members. The opposite evening news team also has 4 members. Burgundy mentions a bank loan being denied to the Human Torch, who is the member of the Fantastic Four. When Ron is talking with Fantana from a public phone on Fantana's desk, you can see a 4x4 version of the Rubik's Cube, which...
Hilarious.
Yes. Early in the movie, after the first time we see Ron delivering the news, you can see the screen divided in 4 showing San Diegans repeating Ron's "stay classy" phrase. Behind Ron's desk, there is a piece of advertisement saying Ron Burgundy is #1 in San Diego. It has 4 pictures of him on it. Baxter is also wearing the Channel 4 on his dog collar, along, and this isn't in the trivia, but if you'll notice it in the movie, their PJs are Channel 4 PJs that both Ron and Baxter wear when they go to bed.
All about the number 4, baby.
During the original, David, this is for you.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
During the original shooting, there was no newborn panda storyline whatsoever.
Best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. The main story hook for the movie, their big news story, revolved around this radical underground militia group calling themselves the Alarm Clock Gang, who robs banks and kidnap Veronica. Ron and his fellow news team members rescue Veronica and capture the gang. The results of the first test screen of the original cut weren't good, While the test audience enjoyed the majority of the film, the main bank robber storyline tested horribly, really horribly. And that was enough for the studio to take action. The studio demanded that the film be reworked and ordered the production to do whatever reshoots were necessary to fix the problem. The bank robber plot was out and would have to be replaced with something more appealing to audience. The result being the entirely new Panda storyline. The new storyline involved both filming the zoo sequences and any Panda-related newsroom wraparounds, which is how we have that movie, Wake Up Ron Burgundy. It's because there was enough scenes that they shot that they could make an entirely other movie.
By the
They
way,
made the right decision.
They made their decision, but I'll say this: pot back then was not, when the movie came out, was not as prevalent or whatever word I'm trying to use as it is today. So that it wouldn't have been justified for the scene. But I love the part where they're robbing. You haven't seen Wake Up Ron Burgundy yet?
No.
There's a scene where like they're trying to get leadership from the leader of the alarm clock, and he's like, "What's our goal? What's our mission?" Like, we're going to take down the establishment, and he's clearly so high he can't think straight. So what he's doing is he's robbing these banks to buy pot money. Like, that's why he's robbing these banks, and so he could get high. And that would have killed it in the audiences. They would have laughed about it, but it just was too soon.
So,
for that.
BJ, the next time you decide to get stoned, get on YouTube and watch that Lost movie.
Okay.
The main bad guy is Amy Poehler.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
She did great.
It kind of sucks he got cut from the movie. Yeah.
My next bit of trivia is all Will Ferrell trivia. According to Mr. Burgundy himself, Ron's full name is Ronald Joseph Aaron Burgundy.
Oh.
2 middle names, huh?
Yes.
Oh.
Will Ferrell graduated from college with a degree in journalism. He anchored the local news a few times before breaking into comedy.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Will Ferrell's character, Ron Burgundy, was inspired by veteran Detroit WDIV TV broadcaster Mort Krem, who
I thought you were about to say Morton Downey Jr.
No, Mort Krem. And he was in Detroit from 1978 to 1997. Whew. I want to go watch some of the stuff just to see the influence on Ron. Just because. Ron's dog is named Ted Baxter, WJM news anchor of the Mary Tyler Moore Show in 1970. Ron Burgundy's license plate on his car is I'm number 1. I am number symbol 1.
Hell yeah.
In the nightclub, Ron plays jazz flute in the style of Ian Anderson, lead singer of the Flatlist of Jethro Tull. Ron blurts out, "Hey, Aqualung," at the end of the song, a lyric from the Tull song Aqualung, the title track of their 1971 album. In addition, the riff that he plays on the flute just before he does so is the main riff of the same song. The pose Ron strikes at the end of the song is also a clear imitation of the band's logo of a flatlist turned sideways with
Flautist.
Thank you.
Flautist
Turned sideways with one leg up. Ironically, Aqualung does not feature any flute.
Oh, there you go.
It definitely does.
Not according to this trivia, so maybe we go re-listen to it later.
It's a badass song.
I've never heard it. I want to listen to it now.
All right.
The news team, this is news team trivia. The movie's epilogue claims that Brick went on to become a top advisor in George W. Bush's presidential administration.
The most Adam McKay thing about this movie, he can't help but take a shot at fucking Republicans.
He cannot. And then Steve Crow went on to play Bush's Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld in Vice, also directed by Adam McKay.
Oh.
Which is just funny how those characters fit together.
Yes, that's awesome.
David Kettner credited his working with Steve Carell on this film to getting him cast as a recurring character, Todd Packer, on The Office. Kettner has known Carell since 1991 during their days at the Second City Comedy Troupe in Chicago. When Brian Fantana hits on Veronica in the news office while wearing Panther cologne, Apatow says the cologne smells like a turd covered in burnt hair. So, yeah, that's Judd Apatow doing that. Random actor trivia. John C. Reilly was offered a role, but turned it down because he was filming The Aviator. He says that he regrets the decision, and he was cast as a cameo in Anchorman 2: The Legend Continues as
the ghost of Stonewall Jackson.
Because before the whole fight scene happens, Will Ferrell's Ron Burgundy goes, "Hold on, guys, just for a second. The ghost of Stonewall Jackson is here.
We're going to burn down Atlanta.
The first draft of the screenplay included suggested actors for various roles. Champ Kine was originally John C. Reilly, Brick Tamlin, Chris Parnell, Brian Fantana as Ben Stiller, Ed Harkin as Ed Harris, Gareth Holiday as Dan Aykroyd, Frank Vichard as Alec Baldwin. The script also specified other members of the news team. Marshall Connors with William H. Macy suggested for a part.
Oh, man.
Those all would have been really good.
I would not have hated any of those, other than I can't imagine anybody but Paul Rudd playing Brian Fantana.
I can't either. I agree with that. The voiceover narration for the film's opening title sequence was provided by Bill Curtis, who was himself a longtime television news anchor during the 1970s for both the CBS Early Morning News with Diane Sawyer and WBBM News in Chicago. Many may recognize his distinctly vernacular and mellifluous, yet nearly self-mocking voice from his hosting various TV documentary programs, including American Justice, Cold Case Files, Investigative Reports, Biography, and many more individual projects. Curtis also appeared in an uncredited role on a 1997 episode of Saturday Night Live during the tenure of Will Ferrell on the show. As of 2018, he is the announcer and scorekeeper of the popular NPR podcast, Wait, Don't Tell Me.
If you win Wait, Don't Tell Me, he records your voicemail, your outgoing voicemail message.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. I listen to NPR on Saturday mornings because
why not?
That's who I am.
So this is actually a good, would have been pretty decent if it happened. Ron Livingston auditioned for the role of Brian Fantana.
Nah, Paul Rudd. It's Paul Rudd.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that if Ron Livingston had won it, I don't think it would have been awful.
Okay.
I think he's the best second choice.
Like if Paul Rudd had to go do something else and turn it down.
Correct. An often misquoted line, and I did not know this until I read this trivia. An often misquoted line in Anchorman happens during the bear fight scene when reporter Frank Vichard's remaining arm falls off after being mauled.
I misquoted it.
Vichard's response is often misunderstood as, "It's getting to be re-goddamn ridiculous." However, if you listen closely to the line, it is in fact saying, "It's getting beaver goddamn ridiculous."
Beaver.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know it doesn't, but I read that trivia before that scene happened, and it's fucking real.
All right.
Go watch that shit again.
I'll close caption it next time.
Yeah.
BJ?
Tim Robbins trivia.
Tim
Robbins trivia.
How'd you know it was Tim Robbins?
Because you looked at me and said BJ. And I love Nuke Lelouch.
During an October 2019 AV Club interview with Tim Robbins, he mentioned that he agreed to take the small roles in High Fidelity in 2000 and Anchorman, even though he knew he would be paid very little for them because they promised to make him a custom wig for each of the roles, both of which he got to keep after filming ended. Robbins said that he still owns both wigs as of 2019 and often uses them in Halloween costumes.
Tim Robbins, I will give you $1,500 for the Anchorman wig.
Is that your favorite trivia so far?
That's fantastic.
Isn't it? That's fucking awesome.
And as a bald guy, I would absolutely take a role if they were going to give me a wig.
Hell yeah.
Free wig.
Yes.
Keep it.
Please keep it.
I love how in the fight, on a side note, I forgot to mention it. In that fight scene, he never loses his pipe. He's always smoking.
Of course not.
He cuts his arm off while smoking a pipe, and then puts it back on after he does it. I love it.
In a PBS affiliate, smoking a pipe is
great
humor.
Great. So we normally do movie impersonations, but this is such a quotable movie. We've been impersonating it the whole fucking time.
Okay.
So why don't you tell the listeners what
I'm
we're
not
doing?
even going to tell them. Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight. My motto's always been, when it's right. Why wait until the middle of the cold, dark night?
When everything's a little clearer in the light of day, we all know the night is always gonna be there anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite. Looking forward to a little afternoon delight. Rubbing sticks and stones together, making sparks ignite. The thought of loving you is getting so exciting. Boo! Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight. Man, that was fun. I enjoyed the shit out of that.
Yeah, that was fun.
And without practicing, we did a pretty fucking good job.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll see what it sounds like, but live, I'll take it.
Yeah. No, because you gotta remember, in that movie, they did that scene probably countless times.
Oh, 100%.
They probably did it in a recording studio, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts on the movie in general.
I've already said it.
Yeah, it's a fucking great-ass movie.
It's the most quotable movie of our generation.
And it's not even close. Like, the second place quotable movie isn't close.
No.
David, this being your favorite movie of all time, what is your rating?
See, I'm going to do something y'all never do on this podcast. And I always, because I would not give Anchorman 2 like the 9.8 that I'm about to give Anchorman 1, because there was stuff that didn't land for me in Anchorman 2. But I almost give it a full 10. But there's just, I give it a 9.8.
Because we need a little bit more Britt Tamlin.
Yes, exactly. Because it's not perfect because, like I said, they went over the top with Britt Tamlin in number 2, and they undersold him in the first one. So, like, you know what? I say 9.5 because to me that's such a big deal. Like,
okay,
Britt Tamlin needed a little more screen time, and they could have done it. And they didn't.
Sure. I'm gonna go with your original rating of 9.8.
Really?
Yeah, because this is a little spoiler alert, but I would give Anchorman 2 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
Yeah, I love Anchorman 2. Like I said as a spoiler, the funniest scene that made me laugh out loud the most is in Anchorman 2 out of both Anchormans.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as Anchorman 1. So Anchorman 1 gets 9.8. It's fucking incredible.
And I agree that.
And the only reason it doesn't get those last 0.2 is because I'm missing some Britt Tamlin.
Yeah. And like I said, that's why I wanted more bricks so much that I even lowered my original score.
Sure.
It's like I need more brick.
Yeah. BJ.
So all of us are giving it above a 9.0. Because I'm giving it a 9 point. I'm going to go 9.3. And essentially the only reason is there's a handful of comedies I like more. Literally a handful. This is probably about my 5th or 6th favorite comedy of all time. So I think that 9.3 does it for me. It's an incredible movie. I couldn't believe how low the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes scores were.
Yeah. The Rotten Tomato, the IMDb doesn't surprise me as much because just the people that don't like Will Ferrell. The Rotten Tomato score blew my fucking mind. The Metacritic score didn't blow my mind. The IMDb score didn't blow my mind. But the Rotten Tomatoes blew my fucking mind. Yeah. 68%.
That's incredible because I don't know a lot of people who don't like this movie.
I don't either. I know people that don't like Will Ferrell.
Sure.
I don't know a lot of people that don't like this movie. And there's 32% out there that have voted on Rotten Tomatoes.
And that could be part of it. People later on realized they didn't like Will Ferrell, so they saw a Will Ferrell movie and was like, oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
Or they didn't understand that it was a parody or that it was taking place in the 1970s or something to that effect.
Yeah. I see that.
But they're wrong. This movie's above a 9.
Yeah.
Agreed. Should they keep making these?
Ooh, like I said, make Anchorman 3 with Wes Mantooth as the lead and follow that team.
See, I'd be okay with Anchorman 3 following Wes Mantooth, but I want an Anchorman 4 with Ron Burgundy and the news team because you can make fun of news.
Oh,
like you can even pull them into the 90s or the 2000s and even now, and you can make fun of the fucking news.
I mean, The Daily Show and Colbert Report ran 15 years making fun of the news.
Mm-hmm.
And they were coming out with episodes every day.
Yep.
So you can always make fun of the news.
Like make more of these. Clearly, you've hit the hammer on the nail 2 times in a row. Keep making them. By all means.
I will say this: if they did a Mantooth spin-off movie, you better have a cameo of Ron in it.
Of course.
He's doing a Ron Burgundy podcast. He'll do a 5-minute cameo. In that.
100% he will.
Yeah.
And it could even be longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You could do a 15-minute segment in the Wes Mantooth movie.
Yeah, you could have Ron even be one of the main characters in it, and it could just be following Mantooth.
Although, with Steve Carell as hot as he's looking now, would be weird as Brick Tamlin.
Steve Carell has aged incredibly well.
oh my god! Like
if I
Paul
can-
Rudd looks literally the same age.
Yes. But if I can look as good as Steve Carell looks after I start to gray, I've made it in life.
Oh, he got hair plugs.
Whatever. His beard looks great. And now we're on to one of my favorite parts of this pod, the good and bad IMDb reviews, because user reviews are the fucking best. It's not entirely true. Roger Ebert does a damn good job, but these are fucking close.
They're funny. They're more ironic than Roger Ebert.
Correct. So this is from Flick 2020. And he literally spells out in his username 2000 and then 20.
Like, he spells out 2000 and then puts the number 20?
No, he does 200020.
Okay.
Yeah. Titled Newsflash, Anchorman is King. Never have I seen a film that has united a whole workforce to the point where our very own news team has been formed. Each member somewhat acting like their on-screen counterparts. From the introduction to the end, I was completely captivated. I personally never knew diversity was an old wooden ship. So that's what I learned from this film. The film has been taken by young and old. I myself had a conversation with a man of 70 years old in work about the film. He agreed on most of the points I was making, mainly about the jazz flute being the most noble instrument a man about town could play.
On a side note, did you guys realize when they're going to Pleasure Town, the jazz flute is nestled like right in between his like shoes? Like it was staged. The jazz flute was there for.
I did not notice that. No,
Yeah,
and I've seen this movie about 30 times.
When they're making out and they're about to like go to Pleasure Town, the jazz flute's there.
Okay.
Right
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with re-saying that sentence. He agreed on most of the points I was making, mainly about the jazz flute being the most notable instrument a man about town could play. So much so, I recently purchased one from a flea market on impulse. Many celebs pitched in on the film, which also backs up its caliber as a top-notch Hollywood film. Bring on Anchorman 2, which me and the fellow news team hopes they make. Long live the legend of Ron Burgundy, or Papa, as we know him.
Oh, this guy. This guy's welcome on the podcast anytime.
Anytime.
We might have to do a 4-person episode for Anchorman 2.
Yes. If Flick 2020 hears this before we do Anchorman 2, hit us the fuck up. Now for my 1 out of 10 review.
Boo.
By Son of Cheese Messiah 30, which
Great name.
is a great fucking name. Yes, BJ, great fucking name. Titled More Man-Hating Drek.
I'm sorry. He watched this movie and was like, this movie hates men?
Correct.
Okay.
He clearly, if he is going with that route, he didn't get that it was just like a, what'd you call it?
Parody.
A parody.
He didn't understand this.
Yeah, he didn't understand that.
I watched this alleged comedy last night, or as much of it as I could bear, due to its mighty reputation. As a comedy, it is poor, but there is something more sinister hidden in the subtext that no one is mentioning. Anchorman, along with all other Judd Apatow films I have had the misfortune to see, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, buys into the feminist narrative unquestioningly. This is Hollywood, a.k.a. liberal town after all. All the men are depicted as incompetent morons, while the women are sexy, smart, and capable of anything. Now, it used to be the case in sex comedies that both sexes were evenly matched, usually equally screwy. This was the case from Grant Hepburn to more mentally. Now, since the rise of femo-fascism, even mild criticism of females is forbidden. Yes, femo-fascism. That guy used that term, correct. While charactering of the males as gross stereotypes has gotten worse, the gulf between the two is not conducive to comedy. The moron men present themselves in front of the successful woman and are one by one ritually humiliated. Yet, despite being surrounded by these male losers, the comedy needs a smart, sexy woman to fall in love with one of them. Always unbelievably implausible. It falls apart due naturally to him being a jerk. The real story here is not Anchorman, but Anchorwoman. It is a fiction of how women must break into a man's world, come up against sexism, and emerge triumphant. We are told that there was a time in cable news where only men read the news. This is a fantasy which only exists in liberals' imagination. In reality, women were reading the news long before cable TV and cable news broadcasters, including women readers from the start. One particularly objectionable scene is when Applegate takes over the anchor for the first time. She is surrounded by a braying pack of men, pulling down their pants, snorting their decision, and generally trying to put her off. In what sort of parallel universe would that happen? In reality, it is a man's natural instinct to try to help an attractive female. Men, never forget that Hollywood hates you. Before anyone says anything, this is happening now. We're told that women can't be president because we'll get in the war once a fucking month. Fuck this guy.
Like, while you were reading this review, I was like, we get it. You've read the Turner Diaries.
This guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
I don't even want to give it top of day. Unless you want to. I just want to move on.
No, he's read the Turner Diaries.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah, no, fuck him.
Yeah.
That was just...
So the main question of this pod, should people watch this movie? And the answer is an unequivocal fuck to the yes.
I can't imagine anybody that's listening to this podcast hasn't seen it. We've broken down the entire movie for them.
There are no... We had all the spoilers.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter. Go watch it. It's just as good. How many times have you seen it? 30?
20. Yeah, 25
Was
to 30.
it any worse the 30th time as the first time?
No.
I've seen it 5. Just as funny the 5th time. Mm-hmm. Maybe funnier.
I mean, like I've said numerous times in this podcast, me and my brother literally quote this movie in our conversations. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking funny. Watch this movie.
Watch it.
David, thanks for coming on the pod, man.
My second time was great, just like the first.
And just to take a serious note before we do the sign off, after this episode gets released, we will be putting out our GoFundMe on our social medias for my mom. She was in a coma for 14 days. She's awake now. The recovery is going to be a really long process. She's a single mom. She still has 2 kids in high school. If you can't donate, by all means, please just share it, because it might reach the right person where we get a really big donation. But with that being said, follow us on social media at IRMFT Pod. And what were you going to say, BJ?
We are? I remember my first time.
That was a great way. I love it.
God damn it. Who put a question mark on the teleprompter? For the last time, BJ will read anything that's on there.
Loved it.
We'll see y'all next time, you guys.
Bye.